Growing Up Nightclub, Chapter 4, Payback.
As I mentioned in the beginning, my dad was forced out of Ohio by the Teamsters when Kevin was 3 months old. He was the local union president for the guys who worked with him on the ship docks in Cleveland. This was back in the Hoffa days. The way I understand it, the bosses of the Teamsters didn't want him causing any more trouble. He had confronted the company bosses about the way they were treating their employees and was getting the workers all riled up about it. The Teamster bosses from New York caught wind of this and called him in for a meeting. He thought he was a goner, but they ended up giving him a choice because he kept his mouth shut when several years prior, he witnessed them take a guy out in front of a restaurant one night and nearly beat him to death. The choice was either get out of town that night, never to be heard from again, or wear a pair of cement shoes and swim with the fishes. That's how we ended up in Florida. That being said, my dad was not one to let anyone or anything stand in his way, let alone take crap from anyone. He was the type that protected himself and his family at all costs. Dad was a hard worker and held 2 or 3 jobs at the same time to provide it for us. When we first moved to Florida, Dad landed a job doing construction for a large home builder. We lived in a rent house for several years until him and my mom bought the property that he built the house I grew up in. He started his own commercial cleaning company as a side job while he put Mom through real estate school. My brothers and I used to help him clean a dentist office and the old theater in town when we were little. Later, he quit construction and went to work for Coca-Cola. He got tired of the commute back and forth to Gainesville and applied to be a mailman at the local post office. Back then, all mail was sorted by hand. I vividly remember him practicing sorting mail at home into old wooden Coke bottle boxes so he could pass the test. I easily settled in to living with Dad in Virginia. As long as I stuck to their rules, everything was good. I didn't see them much between me going to school and them seemingly working all of the time, which was fine because I was used to taking care of myself. I had my own room when my brothers were not there, and there were only a few weeks left before I finished my freshman year of high school. I was doing much better now that I was away from Mom, Tim, and Jimmy. One day my dad came home from work and said,
"Your brothers will be staying with us this summer."
"Sweet. How did you get Mom to agree to that?" I replied.
"I made her an offer she couldn't refuse,"
he said with an unnerving look in his eyes. You see, my dad was not going to let some random guy and his druggy kid put his boys in jeopardy, like teaching Kevin to sniff gasoline. Turns out that not long after I moved in, he paid a visit to old Tim one afternoon at a job site. With a little persuasion from a Louisville slugger and a snub-nosed Colt 38 special to the temple, Tim understood the message crystal clear. Disappear or die. Mom, although fairly dense about such matters, was smart enough to know what would happen if my dad found out that Tim or Jimmy were anywhere around us. So she decided to rent the house out for the summer and go back to Alabama with Tim. Mark and Kevin would stay with us at the River House. That summer was awesome. My brothers and I got paid to cut grass and do yard work around the neighborhood. We saved up enough money to buy a little outboard-powered John boat. We fished and went swimming nearly every day. We hunted for arrowheads and shark's teeth along the riverbank and made fabulous campfires at night on small beaches along the river's edge while stargazing to the wee hours of the morning. Of course, there were always friends and girls from the neighborhood sharing in the fun. One girl in particular became my first love. Her name was Melissa. She was going to be a freshman in the fall and myself a sophomore. Her parents were Italian and had a lake house in the neighborhood as well. Our group of kids became good friends and hung out at someone's house nearly every day if we were not out on the river. Often it was Melissa's parents' house, being they had the nicest house on the river, complete with a swimming pool, pool table, the whole 9 yards. Melissa had a younger brother named Sam, and he and Kevin became best friends. Her younger cousin Julie, who was staying with them that summer, hit it off with my brother Mark as well. Melissa and I became inseparable and quickly fell in love. There was not a single minute that went by that I wasn't thinking of her when we were apart. She would sneak out at night and tap on my window to get me. We would hang out on the dock for hours, talking, kissing, holding each other, teenagers in love. It was pure bliss. As our relationship grew, so did our experimentation. I would gently massage her soft, firm breasts from under her shirt, and she would explore the front of my shorts while we made out on the dock. One night, It got to the point of no return. We laid down on a blanket next to the river and embraced in a long, passionate kiss. The sound of the waves and a warm, gentle breeze seemed to caress our bodies as we nervously removed our clothes. My hand found its way between her legs. For the first time, I felt a woman's passion on my fingers as her breathing responded to my touch. I began to pull away, feeling somewhat uncomfortable that maybe we shouldn't be doing this.
It's okay. I'm on the pill,
she softly whispered as she placed my hand back between her legs and pulled me in close to her. Our mouths parted when she rolled on top of me with her legs straddling my sides. She laid her head on my chest and gripped my shoulders. My hips raised as I slowly guided myself inside of her. Our bodies began moving in a slow, synchronous rhythm as our pleasure built. Our breathing became more labored as our pace continued to gain in speed and intensity. She suddenly lifted her head off of my chest and gripped my shoulders tight. She made a series of quick whimpers between gasping breaths. I felt my body trembling as a burst of pleasure released from deep inside my groin. It was the first time for both of us. It was beautiful. It was a moment I will never forget. The summer went by quickly, and another school year was about to begin. Dad and Virginia were working all of the time, day and night. Mom returned from Alabama by herself. She told my brothers that her and Tim were getting a divorce. She never said what happened, but I'm sure it had something to do with us, and that offer she couldn't refuse by my dad. Now remember that other surprise Dad and Virginia had in store for us that I told you about earlier? I thought the pulling a gun on Jimmy incident changed my life, but this really changed my life.
End of Chapter 4.